Hello and welcome to a theory channel. Before we start, I do not have the analytical skills like Screen Run, and I do not have the mind as the film theorist of MatPat. Just a heads up, but I try my best. I'll try. I'm currently on the bottom bunk of a bed and just trying to get along and show you this video. Anyway, today I saw Batman vs Superman. Now I know what you're thinking, it wasn't the greatest movie, it didn't get the best reviews, but it was a very good movie in my perspective because of the facts and the way they used the comics and the way they used everything to their own advantage. Firstly, spoiler alert, this is gonna spoil the movie completely, so if you've seen it then watch, but if you haven't then I would probably hold off, unless you really don't care and you kind of just want to watch it. But anyway, let's get into it. First off, Superman, he dies. Yep, sorry I said it, but we'll come back to that at the end of the video. But he dies in a way before the end of the movie. He dies through an atomic bomb which releases mainly negative ions, which is actually one of Superman's weaknesses, as well as kryptonite. But because of the sun, he enhances the sun's power, which is mainly positive ions, which powers him and gives him everything that he needs. And the amount of exposure he had to the sun then would power him for a long, long time, and would take a lot to kill him. Hence why at the end of the movie, where he's hurling a spear made of kryptonite towards Doomsday, you can clearly see the fact that he can still fly. But we'll come back to that later on. Anyway, as well as that, we are going to move on to the fact about Darkseid. Yes, Darkseid is one of the most powerful villains, I could say, or super villains in the DC Universe. Not the most powerful, there are others, but he's up there. Now, throughout the movie, you will come up to a nightmare sequence which Batman is having, and the first bit of the scene is actually him standing in front of Omega symbol, which is actually Darkseid's symbol. The Batman has the bat, Superman has the S, but Darkseid has the Omega symbol. And that is what's quite interesting, is the fact that they interpret that, and then later on in the scene they have the Flying Swarm, which is Darkseid's minions as such, and as you can see here in the comic book version of them for Darkseid, it is very interesting how they adapted him. Now obviously it hasn't been confirmed that he's coming into the universe, but it's very likely how at the end of the film, when Batman sees Lex Luthor and is about to brand him in prison, he says that he's found us and he is coming. Now, this is where it kind of gets interesting, because of the pure fact that it comes across as the fact that Lex Luthor knows what's going on. So this comes into where he's on the ship and he discovers the Kryptonian archives. Now, with that, the Kryptonian archives have information of over 100,000 planets in the universe, so no doubt we'll have information on the infamous Darkseid. And, as you can tell, 100,000 planets is a lot compared to our measly 1,700 planets that we discovered and 715 more new planets that we discovered last year. So you can see how well researched and how much information Lex Luthor had gained just being in there for about a measly hour. And then obviously rebirthing Zod. But what's even more interesting is the fact that he says specifically that Darkseid knows that they exist. And it's the way that Kryptonian technology could probably reach out to Darkseid and probably even contact him. Now this is where it comes quite interesting with the whole Doomsday prospect of the film. Now Doomsday was created with the remains of General Zod, who was defeated, as we know, in Man of Steel, which actually I have not seen yet, but we all know that his neck's broken at the end. And this isn't Doomsday original origin story, but before he comes out of his birth pod as such, like in Lord of the Rings and how all those orcs are made, he does say, "This is your Doomsday." So it's obviously clearly pointing to the fact that this monster created by Lex Luthor was Doomsday. Anyway, the only way Superman then defeated this creature, or this monster, was to pierce it with a kryptonite spear Batman had originally made to kill Superman. He finds out that Superman's mother's name's Martha, and they're like, oh my god, did we just become best friends? Oh my god, yeah, like in Step Brothers. But, anyway, carrying on. He then picks the kryptonite blade out of the water that Lois Lane throws in, so Superman doesn't get hurt or anything like that. But what's quite weird, and what I do find a bit of a mistake, is that Superman loses all of his powers when he takes the kryptonite spear out of the water, yet when he's charging towards Doomsday, he has enough power to hurl it into him. Now, what I'm wondering is that, going back to the sun thing, is the fact that he has enough power and enough of those positive ions within him to keep those powers resistant to the kryptonite. So, then, therefore, him getting stabbed by Doomsday's massive bone arm would mean that, in a way, Superman's still living. Everyone's like, no, it couldn't be, because it is specifically on the left side of his chest, as you can tell, and you know, if you watch the film, if you haven't, he gets stabbed in the left side of his chest, where, obviously, your heart is. He then lays on the floor, dead. Everyone's like, no, oh my gosh, he's dead. No. But, as I said, I'd go back to this. At the end of the film, specifically just before the credits, some soil raises off of Superman's coffin, which Lois Lane drops onto it as like a sign of she misses him and she blah 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 blah, sentimental. Now, the significance of this is that I did some research on Superman, and there's a lot of theories that Superman actually has an electromagnetic field. Now, whether this is to do with Kryptonian biometrics is different. It's a theory that a lot of things have, and actually it's an aura around him which makes him invulnerable, that is powered up, and obviously makes the soil fly if electromagnetic field has. And will do, because the Earth has that, and hence the atmosphere, the gravity, atmosphere, blah, 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 blah. But the only way he can break through the Earth's atmosphere of such speed is to have an electromagnetic field. So, therefore, he has an electromagnetic field in this theory. And so the soil raises from his coffin, because the positively charged ions within him is still remaining there from the power of the sun, because after Superman gets nuked, he's completely dead, but is re-healed straight away by the power of the sun. Now, that's quite interesting, because of the pure fact that I did not know that Superman can get completely re-healed by the sun until the movie, so I did some research, and it has happened. It's in the comics, but the thing about an atomic bomb is it's mainly negatively charged ions, so absorbing those positively charged ions is a completely different thing. So there's another theory with Superman and how he gets super strength is through changing his mass into negative mass, then counteracting the positive mass, which is, for instance, when he saves that plane from falling onto the floor in I think it was one of the movies, and that is a theory that he changes his mass into negative mass, which then counteracts the positive mass, creating the fact that he can hold the plane there. And it's a theory that goes along, but at the same time, it's a theory that isn't proved and isn't really there. And the same with the electromagnetic field, but it's always there, and it's always a plausible physics behind how Superman powers. Now, the last thing I want to say, before I end off this video, is that a lot of people think that Superman's dead now. He's gone. But there's no Justice League adaptation where Superman is actually dead. And Superman is always going to be the founder and the creator of this Justice League with Batman. And then the movie is called Dawn of Justice. So then, think about the other reasons why Superman would die. Would be the reason that it could open up a space for something new. Maybe they could they could try and bring Bizarro into the film franchise, but I doubt that would be it. So to end this video, I want to hear your theories on how this worked, and your theories on what's going to happen next, because at the moment, all I know is Darkseid is coming, and that Superman is definitely not dead, and the fact that Lex Luthor is up to something that isn't just gonna stand in a prison cell, because it is Lex Luthor. But yeah, anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it interesting, and I hope you want more, because I am more than happy to do it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.